Welcome back to the Transforming Mind to Transform Your Life, the podcast. You're listening to 5 Minute Fridays with Coach Myrna. Today, I want to talk on the topic of the pajama mindset, a symbol of generational stagnation. Have you ever noticed how often you see people wearing pajamas in public? At first, it might seem harmless, even trendy. But what if I told you that it's a symbolic of something deeper? And so today we are going to be talking about the pajama mindset. What is it? Okay. So when I was growing up, pajamas were sacred. It was your bedroom clothes. And my grandmother would not even let me walk around the house or in the living room in my bedclothes. But today, we not only see people walking around their homes all day in their pajamas, but you see them wearing them on the street, in the stores, at the airport, and even at work meetings on Zoom. What used to be private attire has now become public fashion. Some call it comfort. But what if it's something deeper, a reflection of what is now being called a pajama mindset that reveals a culture stuck in stagnation rather than striving for elevation? So, how did I come across this pajama mindset theory? I was listening to Dr. Jamal Bryant a few weeks ago. He is the pastor of Newbert, and he introduced this concept to me. I've never heard it before, but since mindset is the focus of this show, I thought that I should bring this to you, bring this to your attention because awareness is so important. We do things because we think that they're trendy or we think we're following fashion. Now, I would never do that. I never got the men walking around with their butts hanging out. I never got walking at the airport in your bedroom slippers and rollers in your hair or the bonnet that you wear to bed. You mean I never got that? But some people, again, mindset, would think that they can jump onto anything that is trendy. But the people that jump onto anything that's trendy, why do they do it? What is the mindset behind it? So the pajama mindset isn't about the clothes. It is about the attitude behind them or your mindset, right? The mindset that says, this is good enough. Hey, I don't need to get dressed. I can walk around in my bedclothes, right? It's choosing ease over effort, comfort over progress, and presentation over purpose. Generations before us believed that dressing for where they were going and not where they are was important. They ironed their clothes, polished their shoes, and took pride in showing up ready for life. It wasn't vanity, it was vision. They understood that how you presented yourself reflects how you perceive yourself. But the pajama mindset whispers, why bother? Why bother getting dressed? Why not head to the airport with rollers in my hair, my pajamas, and my bedroom slippers? Right? Why bother? Yeah, hey, it's trendy. But it reflects a person who has stopped aspiring, a generation that is happy with struggle and not enough, a generation that does not have the mental capacity to stretch themselves. Hey, let me leave you with something. If you want personal growth, you have to stretch yourself like a rubber band. If you're not stretching, you're not growing. So when you walk around in your pajamas, you're obviously not stretching yourself and you're obviously not growing. It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. But if you were to do research on the projects, right, you will find that 3 generations lived in the projects: grandma, mother, and then her children. No aspirations to get out to the projects and get out to and get out of poverty. So, what happens when comfort becomes a cage? Comfort is a beautiful thing. We all like nice, big, fancy couches. We like the blanket over us. And, and we like comfort in our home, right? That's why we have homes that have comfort. But, what happens when it doesn't restore you? When it becomes your identity, it's dangerous. Pajamas are a symbol of rest, but when worn outside their purpose, they signal disconnection from self respect, discipline, and direction. The pajama mindset keeps people asleep while pretending to be awake, metaphorically. Yes, it's an illusion of freedom, but really, it's stagnation in disguise. You can't grow while clinging to what keeps you cozy. I learned this concept at the beginning of my personal growth journey. You have to get out of your comfort zone for any kind of growth to occur. So now we're having generations without growth. Many younger generations have inherited ease, but not excellence. They have been told, just be yourself, but not taught how to develop yourself. Growth requires grit. When you stop striving for better, when you no longer care how you show up, you stop evolving. And we're seeing the results: declining standards in communication and conduct, pride replaced with passivity, a culture of convenience over character. The pajama mindset represents a generation asleep, one that numbs ambition, dulls purpose, and erases identity. So, how do we awaken from this pajama mindset? How do we break free and begin our awareness? We got to ask ourselves, how have I become comfortable with where I am? Am I dressing, thinking, and living like someone who's preparing for a purpose? What small disciplines could wake me up from dreaming inside, right? And make me dream outside again? You ever heard the phrase dress for the position you want, not for the one you have? It's very important, right? When you show up with your pajamas, then we know you're not going anywhere. We know you don't want to go anywhere, right? You're just comfortable. You're just following stupid trends, right? And making yourself look stupid in the meantime, right? Growth doesn't happen in your pajamas. It happens when you get dressed up for the next level of your life. You can't step into destiny dressed for dormancy. So let's wake up. You know, the title of my next book is going to be Girl Get Up. I love that topic, right? So get up and get out of those pajamas. And the reason that Jamal Bryant talked about this pajama principle was to show that developers look for communities where people wear pajamas on the street and they say, this is where I want to build because they're all in Section 8. What a terrible thing to say. What a terrible thing to assume, right? And they will be a good investment. But it's true. You know that these people go into the hood, they put liquor stores, they put Section 8, they buy the houses because they know that most of the people with the pajama mentality are renting. They're not going anywhere. So they make money off of us, right? So don't be anyone's meal ticket. Be your own. Get out of your pajamas and start working on leaving an inheritance for your children. So, in closing, let's reclaim our pride in our presence. Let's honor the generations before us who stood tall, looked sharp, and lived intentionally, even if they only had one suit and one pair of shoes. They made sure that it was a good suit and it looked good. And when they walked outside, they were proud of who they are because they're showing up for where they want to go and not where they are right now, right? The world doesn't need more comfort. It needs more consciousness. And today, I want to make sure that I bring this to your attention so you're aware of it, right? Yes, you have to dress that part. Whatever part that you want, you have to dress for it. You have to dress for it mentally, you have to dress for it spiritually, and you have to dress for it in the clothes that you wear because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And anybody seeing you walking on the streets with your pajamas, they're forming an impression. And it's downhill from there, right? So, hope that you were inspired by this message today. I hope that I'm not talking to anybody that wears pajamas outside their home. But, you know, the concept of the pajama mindset goes even further than that. It goes to show your mentality. Are you working on growth? Are you doing the things that will take you to the next level? Even if you don't dress in your pajamas, are you choosing comfort? Are you sitting on the couch, scrolling Netflix when you could be reading a book? Are you going out and walking or going to the gym when you know that you should? It's all the same thing about mindset. Where do you want to go? How healthy do you want to be? What do you want to look like? All these things is part of your mindset. And your mindset is your operating system. That's why we talk about it in this show. That's why this show is called Transform Your Mind, because once you transform your mind, you will transform your life. All right, guys, listen, thank you for tuning in. If you were encouraged by this message, like it, comment, share it, and leave a review. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, namaste.